Photography, when you look at it, it's quite, it is what you see. And how do you transform what it is that people see to allow people to transcend to another space beyond just, oh, it's a face. So whenever I create, I try to challenge my viewer to look beyond just the face, just what you see, but transcend to other spaces and look for other things. And I want that conversation to be like that. So when I create, I want you to look into my images and really just find your own way of seeing and find other possibilities of seeing. My project addresses quite important issues that I think are really important, not just in South Africa, but globally at the moment. And they're not important because I say they are, they've been important. So I address issues of rape culture, and sexual harassment.
I grew up in a community where men would lurk around streets looking to violate and harass young women. And when I became a young woman myself, I realized that, in fact, I was constantly reminded that my body and the bodies of other women around me were for the ears, for the eyes and hands of the men that surrounded me.
My starting point was sexual harassment, because I felt like sexual harassment is something that we as women consider petty, because it happens so often that we normalize it and we silence ourselves because it's not something you can really talk about, because the sexualization of women's bodies has been so normalized. And I always say to people, in a day, I'm harassed at least 5 times. Times that by a week, that's 35 times. Times that by a month. Times that by a year. 365 days a year. I'm 26 years old. Times that by most of my life. What is that doing to me? I haven't even gotten to rape. That is just purely sexual harassment. So that was my beginning point. And from doing that, I realized that this is part of rape culture. It perpetuates rape culture. It makes rape okay. So that's what the project is about. It's very personal. Sometimes you don't need anything. You don't need a person. You just need something that transcends a certain kind of feeling. And I think weapons for South Africans already are something that represents so much. Now, putting weapons on the bed, without even knowing that story, you're already unlocking so many possibilities of what it can mean. We know that weapons represent violence, but then you're putting them on the bed, something quite soft and something quite vulnerable. And when you juxtapose them together, that's a conversation there that just breaks off. It's like 2 different worlds that somehow don't coexist, but they do, because that is someone's story of violation on the bed. I studied art. I did 4 years of art. You work in the studio, you work on your own projects. They're personal to you, and that is it. And being part of Design Indaba in Cape Town opened up my mind to the power of collaboration. And I realized how much artists don't collaborate enough, and how designers are consistently collaborating with other people and each other to create things. And they're constantly pushing towards reaching a broader audience. And I think coming here again and meeting such incredible young people who are making incredible work, impactful work, it made me realize that it is important to collaborate with people who are like-minded and people who are out there to do good things and to change our society. The project that spoke about blackness by Miles, I thought that was, I think, like the sad thing for me, try not to get emotional by watching that project, was that it is really unfair for a 19-year-old young man to be telling a story about a nation. And that is a huge burden to carry on your shoulders at 19 years old. So that for me was an amazing story that he had to tell, but also very sad that at his age, in 2017, he feels like he has to save his people. That's not fair. We also want to make stories about cats and actually just like not care, you know, but no, we are talking about sexual harassment because in 2017, that is our burden as women. We're talking about blackness because in 2017, that is our burden. So that project really touched me and also made me realize how unfair the system actually is.